Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of fragrance content, and today I'm going to review two very affordable fragrances from the brand of Khadlaj. One of them is called Infini Absolute, and the other one is actually sold under a sub-brand that's called Fede, but it's still a Khadlaj fragrance at the end of the day, and it's called Magnum Black Intense. First I'm going to talk about the one that feels a little bit like a mess, not necessarily in a really bad way, but still I'll tell you more about that in a second. First of all, this is how the packaging looks, and that's Magnum Black Intense from Fede. You know, black colored box with golden accents. The things you should need to know about this one: concentration is EDP, bottle size is 100 milliliters, and the production date is December of 2023. In order to get to the bottle, you need to slide this top part of the box out like this, and then this is how the bottle looks. It's again in those very same black and golden colors. The cap, the bottle itself has nice heft. The cap is plastic, but it's a snug fit, and I think there are other fragrances in this very same line which have a pretty similar bottle design but come in a different color combinations. All around, the package actually is quite decent considering how cheap of a fragrance this one is. Some of the notes that Magnum Black Intense from Fede relies on are grapefruit, lemon, mint, pink pepper, bergamot, aldehydes, coriander, lavender, tonka bean and cedar oud. Now, if that note breakdown sounds familiar to you, it sounded familiar to me as well, and that's pretty similar to something that you'll get out of Bleu de Chanel. But does this smell like Bleu de Chanel? Well, first of all, let me show you the spray in action, and then I'll tell you if this actually is close to Bleu de Chanel. Let me show you the spray in action, and then I'll tell you about the scent of this fragrance. The spray is pressurized and it's really nice. And on to the scent of Magnum Black Intense. It opens up citrusy, it opens up fresh, opens up quite aromatic because of the lavender note. You get some woody creaminess, some sweetness, and if I stop here, you'll probably think that I'm talking of an opening that's very close to Bleu de Chanel. But the reality is that it's somewhat similar but also quite different, because this is way sweeter. It feels way more powdery. There's a very strong tonka bean note that adds sweetness and adds powderiness, and there's also a heavy dose of ambery sweetness in this one. So it retains some of the properties of Bleu de Chanel, you know, the woodiness and some of that citrusy freshness, lavender airness in the opening, but it's just way sweeter. Just think of the sweetness of Bleu de Chanel on heavy steroids. Like a more youthful, maybe something like that, more youthful take on the Bleu de Chanel EDT. On the dry down, it becomes actually quite different, because Bleu de Chanel becomes woody, it becomes creamy, slightly powdery. This becomes very sweet, very powdery, and not very much woody. So a very interesting fragrance that, in my opinion, doesn't really know what it's trying to do. Maybe Khadlaj have tried to recreate the Bleu de Chanel EDT with a more modern, more youthful vibe, making it more powdery and sweet. I'm not sure, but again, in the opening feels somewhat similar to Bleu de Chanel, but in the dry down very different. Performance wise, this is actually a pretty decent performer. I've been getting about 6.5 to 7 hours of performance. The sprayer is nice, and especially if you overspray a little bit, you'll get a very adequate performance out of it. Projection, good projection for the first about hour and a half. Price very low. I paid about 14-15 euros, something like that, which makes it very affordable and a fraction of the price of the original scent. And versatility wise, a youthful scent that can be worn pretty much all year round, maybe apart from the hottest months of the year. And moving on to the second Khadlaj fragrance featured in today's video, which is called Infini Absolute. The fragrance comes packaged in this black colored box with some silver and red accents on it. The things you should need to know about this one are bottle size 100 milliliters, concentration I think is parfum concentration, if Le Parfum is the meaning of the concentration. The production date here is February of 2024. To get to the bottle, you need to slide both parts like this out, and then this is how the actual bottle looks. It again pretty much the same color combination of black, silver with some reddish accents. The cap is plastic, it's a secure fit, and if you think that this bottle looks unique, then hold for a second, because look at this bottle and this bottle. Now this is another Khadlaj fragrance from the same Infini line, but this is simply called Infini, and Infini Absolute is pretty much has the same bottle design, apart from the fact that this is totally blacked out where this is transparent. Now the original Infini from Khadlaj is a sort of a clone of Creed Aventus, a slightly fruitier twist on the Creed Aventus DNA. And guess what? Infini Absolute is again a clone of Creed Aventus, but this feels quite different to Infini and to Creed Aventus itself. I'll show you the sprayer in action. Again, a good sprayer, not as pressurized though as with the Magnum Black Intense, and onto the scent of Infini Absolute. Again, a clone of Creed Aventus, opens up in a very similar way. You get that citrusy, fruity opening, you know, the pineapple note, some of those citrusy freshness. You get a bit of incense somewhere in the background, some birchiness, some woodiness, a bit of mossy vibes, some hint of spiciness. But this one also opens up way sweeter, and I'm talking about a big dose of ambery sweetness with this fragrance, and that's the main sort of way that this is different compared to the original fragrance. It feels like a way sweeter version in the opening, and the same can be said on the dry down. On the dry down becomes a little bit more woody, a little bit more birchy. You know, you get that mossy vibe just like with the original fragrance, but still this remains way sweeter compared to Creed Aventus. Again, like more of an youthful, more of a modern take on the Creed Aventus DNA. All around, the scent itself is actually a very nice scent. I've been quite enjoying Infini Absolute. When it comes to the performance, another area where this impressed me, I've been getting about 8 to 9 hours of performance, maybe even a little bit over that mark. It's a strong performing fragrance. Projection wise, it will project quite strongly for the first 2 to 2.5 hours, so absolutely no issues with the performance here. Price a little bit more expensive. This costs about 25 to 30 euros here in Europe, but still, you know, looking at it, it's a normal price for a clone fragrance with a good quality. And versatility wise, a very versatile fragrance, just like the original. You can wear pretty much all year round to this particular fragrance, so it's very versatile. And at the end, a few final words about the two fragrances that I'm reviewing today. When it comes to Magnum Black Intense from Fede, this is an interesting scent that, as I said, feels a bit messy. It feels a little bit like it's lost its way. It doesn't really know what it's trying to do. I don't know where Khadlaj actually tried to modernize the scent DNA of you know, Bleu de Chanel, tried to make it sweeter and more youthful, or whether they tried to make a closer clone to Bleu de Chanel but missed the mark completely. But this really feels as a strange sort of a fragrance that feels in a way close to Bleu de Chanel, but also feels quite different, more powdery and sweet. It's not a bad fragrance on its own, just keep in mind that it's not super close to Bleu de Chanel. And when it comes to Infini Absolute, I actually really like this one. Yet another clone of Creed Aventus, but this with an interesting sort of a sweet, modern touch to it. Strong performance, low price, all around good quality. All around, I've been quite impressed with the Infini Absolute actually. And so guys, in today's video I reviewed two fragrances from the brand of Khadlaj. Magnum Black Intense, sold under the brand of Fede, and Infini Absolute. I hope that you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.